get it.
Nice! Good morning, little chef. Welcome to day 30 of being a chef on a yacht. Today is a travel day, so while I'm serving breakfast, the captain's going to be pulling up the anchors so we can make our way back to Georgetown. I love being anchored here in Cape Santa Maria. I think it's one of the most gorgeous beaches in the world, but the produce here is not that gorgeous. I have just enough fruits and vegetables to get us through the next couple of days, and then I'll go provisioning. One of the dishes that I'm making for breakfast is an acai bowl, so I'm chopping up a whole bunch of different types of fruit. I make my acai bowls in the Ninja Creamy. I've been using this a ton. Not only do I use this for acai bowls, I use this for smoothies, milkshakes, sorbet, and ice cream. Check the link in my description to get a Ninja Creamy for yourself. I get these acai packets from Costco. It's just the concentrated berry blended up, but I think that it's a little bitter and pretty intense, so I blend it together with some almond milk and banana and then put it into the Ninja Creamy. This is a super easy breakfast for me to just crank out really fast, especially on these days when we're going to be underway. I like to have breakfast served and the galley cleaned up before we get underway. Not only is it difficult to clean while the boat's moving, but I like to help out the crew on the outside of the boat. We're towing our tender, so there's a lot of maneuvers we have to do going in and out of marinas and coming off and on anchor. Brian has to be off the boat and driving the tender, so we're down a crew member. But the Stu and I will hold down the fort. The boss likes to run this yacht pretty fast. We're going about 18 knots while we're underway, which is equivalent to about 20 miles an hour. This is about the speed that a normal cruise ship would go. Cruise ships are such a large vessel, you'll plow right through the swell. But on this yacht, you can feel it. When we're anchored or in a marina, I like to wear tennis shoes so my feet don't hurt, but when we're underway, I go barefoot. I think it's a lot easier to keep your balance because your toes grip onto the floor beneath you. I got a call on my radio from the captain saying that he's going to be pulling up the anchor soon. So that means I need to get breakfast served and the galley cleaned up. After about 5 hours of traveling, we need to get the first mate back onto the tender. Normally we do this by pulling the tender right into the yacht and the first mate jumping on, but the seas are really rough today. We don't want to risk the tender hitting the yacht, so Brian is going to go for a swim. The light? Oh.
There we go. We're good.
For our towing method, we do a stern connection with a Y bridle. So we have 2 towing ropes on each side of the stern of the yacht. It converges into one, and that rope gets connected to the bow of the tender.
Go get it.
Nice! Whoa, did you see how far he went? I think he might be a lifeguard or something. Brian thankfully made it to the tender without getting eaten by a shark. He'll unhook and he'll follow us and drive the tender into the marina. He's unlatched.
Let it go.
now, the stew and captain are working on pulling in the rope. We have to do this very quickly because if this gets sucked under the yacht, our trip would be over. Getting rope tangled into the motors is no fun. There's a lot of rope that we're working with, and we make sure that it's all pressed up to the back of the swim platform so it doesn't slide off and get into the motors. We've got this maneuver down like clockwork, but it still makes me a little nervous. Thankfully, everyone is safe, and it was very successful, so now we can head into the marina. I'll head into the bridge to get Captain's orders. Right now he's on the radio with the manager of the marina to see what slip we're going to be in. Once we figure out what slip we're going to be in, the captain will decide to either go in bow first or stern first. Then the captain will tell the crew to tie up on port side or starboard side. Since Brian, the first mate, is on the tender, Gina and I are in charge of tying up the fenders. For a yacht this large, these fenders are about the size of me. I'm 5'6", and I could use this fender as a mattress. Here at the Emerald Bay Marina in Georgetown, we have floating docks, which is preferable. The docks will rise or lower based on the tides. We know for floating docks, the bottom of the fender should be right at water level. When I started working on this yacht 3 years ago, I knew nothing about boats. The first year, the owner of this yacht was the captain, so I got to learn from him my first year, and then the last 2 years, I learned from this amazing crew. I'm so appreciative to what they have taught me. Now I don't look like a fool when I go out there to try to help. My official job when we head into marinas is being in charge of the bow line. Since we radioed the marina, they know that we're coming in, and typically they'll have a dock hand out there, but Brian tied up the tender, so he's just waiting around at the dock. When working with the lines, especially with this size yacht, you need to make sure you keep your hands, feet, legs, arms out of the way of the rope. How did he get out?
You need to grab him and put him in.
I'm putting him. Thurston, come. Thurston, in. I know, stern first. Oh, spring first. If you get your hand tangled up in there and it tightens on you, you could be without a hand. Another thing we pay attention to is getting our feet stuck in the lines at the back of the boat, because if it tangles up on you there, you could be in the water and dragged behind the yacht. I know this job looks really chill with us wearing bathing suits and in our bare feet all day, but there's a lot of things that's dangerous about it. The captain always makes sure that we're doing the safest thing possible. That's right. That was pretty badass, Brian. Your dive. Now that we're docked at the marina, the boat is finally stable enough for me to start prepping food. Yesterday, I prepared some Mediterranean stuffed peppers, so I'm just gonna pop those in the oven to warm them through and serve that with a Greek salad. We came back to Georgetown because the owners of the yacht are going to be heading to the airport tomorrow and flying back to Miami. This airport here in Great Exuma has commercial airlines like Delta and American, but back in Cape Santa Maria, you have to rent a private plane. And that's exactly what I did last year. The boss hooked me up with my own plane to fly me back to Cape Santa Maria after my break in the States. It was quite an experience. The pilot let me take controls for a bit, and I got to fly the plane for about 5 minutes, which was a good amount of time considering that the flight was only 15 minutes long. The owners are flying out, which means the crew has a couple days off. I still cook most of the meals for the crew, but the captain takes us out for dinner so I can have some time off. I'm really excited to just get into my bathing suit, maybe pull down the stand-up paddle boards, or tan a bit on the upper deck. The first year I started working on this yacht, I worked for 27 days straight. There were no breaks. It was a little bit of a smaller boat. We only had 2 crew members, myself and the first mate. He was in charge of keeping the outside of the yacht clean, and I was in charge of the inside. So not only was I the chef, I was also the stew. And let me tell you, I was exhausted. After I finished lunch service for the owners, the crew had their lunch up in the bridge. And we also decorated the rental car with Bahamian flags because today was their Independence Day. They usually throw a big party at night, so I'm excited for this evening. Yes, the crew does have a couple of days off, but I still need to prep for the next set of guests coming in a couple of days. I'm making peach, mango, and cookie ice cream. I'll add a little bit of instant pudding mix into the creamies. It helps with the texture. I'll blend these up, pop them in the freezer, and they'll be ready to go when our guests get here. The owners of the yacht don't eat gluten or sugar, so tonight I'm trying to make a cheesecake following those dietary restrictions. I'll throw in some yogurt, lots of eggs, artificial sweetener, tapioca starch, and some vanilla extract. Very different than the cheesecakes I've made before, but we'll see how it turns out. For dinner tonight, we're sticking with the Mediterranean theme, so I'm making chicken Mediterranean bowls. My new favorite restaurant is called Cava. It's like a Mediterranean-style Chipotle. So I'm loosely basing this dish off of that restaurant. As a dressing, I'm making a tahini lemon vinaigrette, and then I'll start chopping up my chicken thighs. I'm going with a honey harissa marinade, so I'll throw in all of my spices and herbs and let that sit for a couple of hours. I had a lot of tomatoes on hand, so I'm going to use them for cocktail hour. The owners have been talking about this tomato pie that they had in France a few years ago, so I'm going to try to mimic that the best I can. I topped some puff pastry with tomatoes, lots of olive oil, cheese, and onion, and garnished with fresh basil. I served that on a platter with some cheese and meats and got started on dinner. I'll chop up the last of my veggies and start sauteing up my chicken. Then all I have to do is plate it up. The dinner was absolutely amazing. The cheesecake was a little strange, but passable for being gluten and sugar-free. I went up to the upper deck to enjoy the sunset, and I started hearing some drum noises. That means the party is beginning. So the crew went on a mission to find the Junkanoo. Junkanoo time! Mark's on a mission, man.
Come on. Get up. Go.
Do it again. Do it again. After running around the island trying to find the Junkanoo, we only got to see about 2 seconds of their performance. I hope you enjoyed watching. Bye, little chef.